Hello, welcome back to another podcast. I'm Sam.
I'm Kris.
And yes, this is Off the Woodwork episode 2. If you didn't catch last week's episode, you can find the link to that in the description or on my social media. And pretty much we just talked about a range of different sports, focusing mainly on football, focusing on our teams Norwich City and Tottenham Hotspur. So if you want to listen to that one, as I said, head to the description or head to my channel homepage and it will be right there. Okay, on today's episode of Off the Woodwork, we've got our usual discussion of Norwich City and Tottenham Hotspur's results, a bit about the Premier League, a bit about the Championship, and then in terms of our other sports, we've got a bit of cricket and the release of the 100, a bit of controversy in that this week, as well as the Rugby World Cup as well. Okay then, where to start with Norwich then? Yes, it was not a good day at the office for Norwich on Saturday at Carrow Road. Yes, Aston Villa turned up and they bulldozed their way past the Canaries at 5-1. They were 2-0 up inside the first half an hour and then missed a penalty before half-time just to give us Norwich fans a little bit of hope. But that hope was very short-lived, as 3 minutes after half-time they were 3-0 up and the scoreline became embarrassing for a Norwich side that still had 10 players injured and 3 players playing with injuries and on painkillers. So not completely to blame. Obviously, you shouldn't be conceding 5 goals. No disrespect against a newly promoted side or a side that's gone up with you and finished below you last season. Norwich got a consolation just before the end, and I didn't actually see it because I needed to go early to get the bus because the trains weren't running. So when the 5th goal went in, I kind of packed my things in and said, I just need to get the bus and get home. And I missed our only goal of the game. It was in front of royalty as well. Prince William and Prince George were there, but they were in the home end. Yeah. What's that all about, Kris? Surely
I've no idea.
That's not allowed, is it? They're Villa fans in the home end. How have they got past security?
No, they are royalty. There are exceptions. But last week, as we said, we expected a high.
We expected a lot of goals.
A lot of goals.
But I didn't think we quite wanted it to be like that.
I was not expecting Aston Villa to score 5 goals against Norwich, especially away.
So yeah, the international break comes at a very good time. We're now 19th in the relegation zone thanks to the rest of the results over the weekend, and we've got Bournemouth away afterwards, which is not really the game you want when you want to get your season back on track. Bournemouth, very well established Premier League side at the moment, and it's going to be tough. But we should have, I think, 8 of our 10 players injured back or fit for that day. So there's a bit more hope than there has been recently. Moving on from Norwich, not so good again for you, Kris. Tell me all about it.
No, it wasn't. Well, we lost to Boraytn 3-0 at the Amex Stadium. I actually wasn't watching the game. I was
lucky.
Outside of Buckingham Palace on my phone following the result. We conceded an early goal again on 3 minutes after another howler by Hugo Lloris, which this time resulted in him dislocating his elbow.
Yeah, I saw that. That was very nasty.
That did not look pretty.
Best wishes to him to recover soon.
Back very quickly. After the defeat to Bayern, I mean, the mood was kind of gloomy, but just to top it off with a 3-0 defeat by the Seagulls, we conceded 10 goals in 1 week for the first time ever, and Brighton.
You're sounding speechless.
Yeah,
you still can't believe it's happened.
Genuinely, I don't know what's going on. 3 months ago, I was in Madrid watching my team play in the Champions League final, and now we're losing to Brighton 3-0 after conceding 7 goals at home.
And Brighton looked comfortable as well.
Brighton looked brilliant. I'm not taking any credit away from Brighton because we played terrible. Brighton turned up really well. A few fun facts about the game. We have now more away losses than any other Premier League side in 2019. We have tasted defeat in 12 of our 20 games on the road this calendar year.
Can you pick that apart? Why do you think that is?
We used to have a problem with away games when it came to the top 6, but when it came to smaller clubs, we used to be okay. Now it's turned, and even our home form as well. We lost to Newcastle at home 1-0. Mind you, Newcastle, they're doing quite well this year anyway. But it's not going very well, and we can't work out what it is. We've got the same manager, we've got the same players as we had throughout the last sort of 5-6 seasons. Nothing's changed that much.
Just lacking confidence.
I think it's just
a result. I mean,
that desire.
Yeah, Norwich. We've lost every away game so far this season. Yet in the Championship last season, we only lost one on the road all season. I think it's just something about the Premier League, isn't it? Like in the past, when Norwich have been up, we've always struggled away from home. It's just surely the atmospheres can't be that much different. But of course, yeah, Premier League, Championship cannot really compare the two. The rest of the Premier League, Liverpool. 100% start for them now. Late win against Leicester. Did you see the penalty?
I saw the replay of the penalty. That's a tough one.
I think the trouble is, Boraytn, he did sort of kick him in the back of the leg. The reaction was delayed, but the contact was there.
The contact. I'm not sure whether that was enough to make him go down, but.
So I also think as soon as the referee gives it, it's hard for VAR to overturn 100%,
it. But let's be honest here. If someone kicks you in the penalty box in 95th minute, you are going to go down.
Like you can't really blame Mane. Like
exactly.
When you watch it on the replay, it looks like he's cheating, but he has been kicked, and he just delays his reaction.
Yeah, definitely. But that's 2 games for Liverpool last week as well against Sheffield. 2 lucky wins, 24 points out of 24. They're doing.
Yes, and
it might be their year. Might be
clear of Manchester City, a shock.
8 points, yeah.
2-0 defeat at home to Wolves. I have to say, full credit to Wolves. I watched the second half of that game, and they'd set up perfectly, and probably deserved it in the end.
Yeah.
Other results: Palace, they started the season well. Got a late win against West Ham. Burnley beat Everton 1-0. Everton in the relegation zone with Norwich. Marco Silva is his time nearly up? Do you think?
I think the patience is running out. He came in with so much expectation and he has not delivered. But just going back to Everton, what a week for Liverpool fans it is, isn't it? Going 8 points clear of Manchester City, Everton in the relegation zone. I think they'll be happy.
I bet there's been a lot of Liverpool fans walking into work this morning overjoyed.
Yeah. Just going back to Wolves quickly as well, just to point out that in the last year, teams which have been beaten by Wolves included Man United twice, Man City, Liverpool, Spurs, Chelsea and Arsenal.
So the whole top 6?
The whole top 6. That is an impressive achievement.
Giant killers.
Yeah.
Fantasy football, the less said for me, the better. I had an absolute shocker on Saturday and only had, I think, 15 points.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sunday didn't go much better either, as I ended up with just 25 points in my week. And the worst of it was I had 14 points on the bench as well, in the form of Jack Grealish and Willy Bolly, who both got 7 points each. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we'll forget about this one.
Yeah, I did better than last week. I managed to get 63 points this week, so that's not bad.
Yeah, that was well above the average.
Average points was 36, so I did quite well. But that's all thanks to Sadio Mane, who got 3 points by scoring a goal and having an assist in their game against Leicester. I also played the wild card, so I have transformed my team completely, making 8 transfers. So my team's looking completely different. So looking forward to next week, see how they get on.
Okay, moving on from that, the Championship this week. Probably, I still actually prefer the Championship over the Premier League, I have to say. Well, that's because we're losing loads of games at the moment. But some shocks there. Millwall 2, Leeds 1, Swansea 1, Stoke 2, West Brom 4, Cardiff 2, probably the 3 games I'd pick out there. Leeds were down to 10 men within like 5 minutes, although I did see the penalty and I think they'll get that red card rescinded.
Yeah.
The shock of the day has got to be Stoke though. Nathan Jones, he survives another week there, and you're winning at Swansea, who I think are down to 4th because of that defeat, but they've been looking like they're going to be going up this season. So Nathan Jones hasn't started well. Obviously his record is pretty dire at Stoke, but after a morale boosting win at Swansea, can he turn it around for them?
I'm not sure. They've got 5 points after 11 games, but again, I think that's what they needed right now. Above, fresh mentality, fresh blood. That could work in their favour, and it's still very, very, very tight. So anything can happen. The top is a bit tighter than the bottom.
Yes, tell us more about that, how tight it is at the top.
So West Brom in first place with 22 points, and if we go down all the way to 9th place, which is occupied by QPR at the moment, there's only 3 points difference between first and 9th. We've got 2 teams at the top with 22 points, and then a couple with 21, and then 4 teams with 19 points. One round and it changes everything. That's why it's so interesting.
Yeah, it's the Championship. It is just, as I think I said last week, just one of those leagues you have to be at it. The whole season.
Yeah.
You can't. Sometimes you can have some form in the second half of the season and maybe sneak in the playoffs, but in terms of promotion, there's sort of so many teams there that are sort of capable of beating each other on their day. Although on that, going back to the Premier League, I almost think with how bad like United, Arsenal, even Spurs, or not so much Arsenal, United and Spurs have been doing, sort of there's almost not as much gap now between the top 6 and the bottom 14, as some people say. I feel, I think United are only a couple of points above the relegation zone, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, and you've got teams like Crystal Palace in 6th place, you've got Leicester in 4th place, Burnley in 7th.
Yeah.
So
Norwich play Man United in a couple of weeks, and United haven't won an away game, I think, this year. So haven't won. I think it's nine games. So it'll probably be along come Norwich and they get their first win at Carrow Road. Or you never know, we might beat them if we learn or if we practice some defending in training.
But just going back to United quickly, this season they had 8 away games without a win now for the first time in Premier League history. It's the longest away winless run since 1989, which was 11 games, and it's United's worst league start for 30 years, which continued with the defeat to Newcastle. This is insane. Since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was named as the Manchester United manager, Liverpool have won same number of PL games as Manchester United have won points, 17. So that just tells you a lot, doesn't it?
Yes, enough discussion on that. A bit on some football earlier this week in terms of the Champions League. Kris is sighing again in the studio. So you were there, mate. Talk me through it.
Well,
talk me through it in 100 words.
In 100 words. Started off very well. Scored a goal. Played good for 14 minutes. The diamond formation, which Pochettino seems to be sticking with at the moment, works for about 15 minutes. And then the players just get absolutely knackered and they can't run for the rest of the game. What else can I say? Conceded 7 goals at home for the first time ever. Tottenham's biggest home defeat in history. It wasn't pretty. After they scored the 5th one and the 6th one and the 7th one, you couldn't just help but laugh. That was it. That was sort of the feelings of anger, disappointment just turned into absolute embarrassment.
Did everyone flood the exits when
everyone flooded the exit in 80?
Then they scored again.
And they just kept coming. Serge Gnabry scoring 4 goals. What a night for him. Especially
I saw his tweet afterwards, I think, as well.
North London is red, yeah. Ex-Arsenal player. Yeah, no, it wasn't pretty. So it's safe to say that I kept off social media for a solid week now.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Other results, Liverpool 4, Salzburg 3. Close game there.
Very entertaining game.
Yeah.
3-0 at Liverpool. Salzburg take it back to 3-3, and then Liverpool managed to win it this season. Yeah, that's extremely lucky.
1-0 win for Manchester City against Dinamo Zagreb. I think, to be fair, with City and Liverpool, I think if you sort of offered them now, if you said City win the Champions League, Liverpool win the Premier League, both teams would take it.
They would definitely take it.
City winning the Champions League, not too sure. Yeah, they're in a bit of a blip at the moment, aren't they? They've got a few injuries. As well. But yeah, as we say, early days, and Liverpool got Man United away next.
Yes,
so
yeah.
It's one of them games at the moment. It looks like it'll be easy for them, but
exactly.
If Man United are going to turn up for one of their next games, it should be that one.
Exactly.
Lille 1, Chelsea 2. Also good win for Chelsea yesterday against Southampton, and this is the one I watched at Barca 2, Inter Milan 1. Inter Milan played some awesome football, but Barca just kind of nicked the win as they didn't play that well, but just managed to get the win. Next up, we've got the England squad that was announced this week for their next few games against Czech Republic on Friday and Bulgaria next Monday. The main sort of headlines from that: Dele Alli and Jesse Lingard were both left out. First call up for defender Fikayo Tomori, while Chelsea teammate Tammy Abraham, he was also picked. Fabian Delph from Everton, he's been recalled, and James Maddison is in the squad again. Now, James Maddison, after watching him at Norwich for a season, I was always going to say that he's going to get in the England squad eventually, but since he's got in, he hasn't actually earned a start yet, has he? So
no.
Do you think, the time's finally come for Southgate to show a bit of faith in him? Like, his performances recently have been great too. got that goal at Anfield on Saturday. But
fantastic.
I think he needs a chance, doesn't he?
He definitely needs a chance. As you said, the performances this season from him were solid. He scored against Tottenham, scored against Liverpool, so I reckon he definitely deserves his chance, and I think he'll take it. I think he'll become one of the more important players in our midfield.
Yeah, the rest of the England squad was quite sort of what we expected, wasn't it?
Yeah. Another interesting thing, Kyle Walker has been omitted again. He hasn't been doing that well, has he? But
we seem to have a lot of right backs, don't we?
Yeah.
Like we could choose from.
Yeah, exactly. I wish Tottenham had the same problem, but standard. Harry Kane, all there. Dele Alli omitted, and Jesse Lingard, but the rest remains the same. So hopefully,
You confident? Czech Republic away, Bulgaria away.
Tough games, tough crowds, especially the Bulgaria game. But no, I think we'll do it. I think we'll do it.
Moving on to a bit of change of sport now into cricket. There's a bit of news with the new competition, the 100, which is coming to England next summer. The cricket season in England, if you're not aware, is pretty much now. It is now over, I can say. Although I did see a picture of a club in Yorkshire playing cricket in October, which is very rare, and it's probably pretty cold as well. But the Australia, New Zealand, and most of the Asian seasons are just beginning. We've got the Caribbean Premier League as well in the West Indies. A bit of news on that. Trinbago Knight Riders will play Barbados Tridents in the semi-final this Friday. The winner of that will play the Guyana Amazon Warriors in the final, which is the following day. I have been watching a little bit of that because it's been on at about sort of midnight and 11 o'clock at night, so it kind of works when you're on a kind of uni schedule and don't sleep that much.
Yeah.
But back to the 100. The 100's going to be pretty much what it says on the tin. 100 balls competition. 2020 at the moment is 120 balls, but the 100 will be 100 balls. And the teams and some of the players were released this week. We've got Birmingham Phoenix, London Spirit, Manchester Originals, Northern Superchargers, Oval Invincibles, Southern Brave, Trent Rockets and Welsh Fire. The England men's central contact players in these teams for the Birmingham Phoenix, Kris. For the London Spirit, Rory Burns. For the Manchester Originals, Joss Butler. For the Northern Superchargers, Ben Stokes. For the Oval Invincibles, Sam Curran. For the Southern Brave, Jofra Archer, but on them. For the Trent Rockets, Joe Root. And for Welsh Fire, Johnny Bairstow has gone into them. Now, Kris, something to ask you about. I know you don't know that much about cricket. The sponsors of all these teams, they're sponsored by snack companies and junk food. A lot of people getting annoyed about this, but I don't see how it's that different to when teams are sponsored by betting companies.
Yeah, exactly. It's a tough one again, because in sports, on one hand you're supposed to promote healthy eating and healthy lifestyles, that sort of thing, and yet most of the biggest football competitions in the world are sponsored by McDonald's or other fast food chains. So it sort of sends different messages, but I
just feel like they're taking it a bit sort of too far, aren't they? It's just a sponsor. Like
exactly.
We see betting adverts on the TV all the time.
Exactly.
Like, 30 seconds before each game, 30 seconds after. But some people are quite annoyed about that, but it doesn't bother me too much.
I think what's even more annoying is when, for example, Arsenal. I'm a bit biased here, obviously, but when Arsenal are, for example, sponsored by Rwanda, Visit Rwanda. There's a lot of people. It's a poor country, and yet they sponsor a football team. I think people should look more into that rather than criticising, sponsors that can afford to sponsor someone. That's my view. That's what I think.
Continuing with cricket, India against South Africa. Just a quick report from that game. India pretty much remains the hardest place in the world to win a test match. India beat South Africa by 203 runs in the first test. Rohit Sharma, he scored centuries in both innings for India, including hitting 13 sixes in the match, which, if you don't know, in a test match is quite rare. Ravi Ashwin and Mohammad Shami, they took 5 wicket hauls for South Africa. Dean Elgar and Quinton de Kock scored hundreds, but the Proteas, they slipped to 70 for 8 in their final innings on the final day, and they were bowled out for 191, which gave India a resounding 203-run victory. The second test begins on Thursday in Pune, and I'll be talking about that one next week. And as I said, India, they're in the subcontinent where the balls spin a lot, but sometimes it can be really flat as well, so quite easy to bat on, and it remains a very, very difficult place for touring countries to win. The Rugby World Cup then. England, they made a great start to the tournament, and 3 wins out of 3 now, thanks to their win against Argentina at the Tokyo Stadium, 39 points to 10, and that books their spot for the quarter-finals. Thomas Lavanini saw red just 17 minutes into the first half for Argentina, which, Kris, that made the game quite comfortable for England, didn't it?
It did indeed. We continue our, we've won 3 games. Definitely affected the game early on. Not complaining though. It's going to be a very interesting game against France, which...
France are one of those teams that you don't really know what you're going to get, do you? Sometimes they'll properly turn up, sometimes they won't.
They've also won 3 out of their 3 games. They beat Argentina 23-21, they beat USA 33-9, and they beat Tonga 23-21. Definitely looking forward to it.
Wrapping up then, which is with our little preview section. So it is the international break now, so no domestic football for, at least in the Premier League and Championship, no domestic football for a couple of weeks. And yes, thank God, Kris. Well, for both of our clubs, I think.
Yeah.
Norwich, because we've got so many players injured and we keep losing, and Spurs, the same thing, really.
Exactly.
But international breaks in general, over the years, have you been a fan of them?
Not particularly, no.
It's quite kind of, especially when you win, like you then have to wait 2 weeks to play again.
Yeah, exactly.
But then sometimes when you lose, it gives you time to regroup and get some players fit.
I don't know what's worse, because some players say that they'd rather get out there quickly after they lose a game and sort of bounce back straight away. But when they have to wait sort of 2-3 weeks, that affects them. But I'm not. I think I need a break after last week. Watching my team concede 10 goals, and you as well. I'm pretty sure you need a break as well, just to recover.
Yeah, in terms of for fans, I think some people, obviously the England team, I think in recent years, thanks to what happened at the World Cup, we've become a bit more interested.
Definitely.
But I remember sort of 5 or 6 years ago, I wouldn't really bother watching the England games. You might have on in the background, but it was just kind of quite depressing, wasn't it, how bad we were, and then obviously did well at the World Cup, so everyone's a bit more interested now. But in terms of now, I'm happy there's an international break, but if we're in good form, probably be a bit annoying, because it does feel a long 2 weeks.
Definitely.
And it's just like sometimes when you finish class on a Friday and you're like, yes, I've got some football to look forward to on Saturday, and it's not there.
Yeah, it's a weird feeling, isn't it? But the Euro qualifiers are a bit different, because the games are, you play for something, you're playing for qualification, but when you've got friendly games, you just don't pay attention. Like, they're there, but you don't get involved as much as you do with your own football club.
Finally then, our predictions for those 2 games, Czech Republic against England and Bulgaria against England. I'm going to go for Czech Republic, a 2-1 win for England, and Bulgaria a 3-0 win for England. Quite confident in our team that we can get the business done.
Okay, I'm going to go for 2-1 England against Czech Republic and 3-1 against Bulgaria.
Fair enough, and yes, just mention again, England against France in the Rugby World Cup. That is next Saturday, I think 9 a.m. again.
9 a.m. Early start.
And other cricket matches, got a bit of the Caribbean Premier League and India against South Africa, if you're up to, like watching cricket late at night. But anyway, that wraps up the second episode of this podcast. So we are aware that it was a bit shorter. That was one of the things that we did discuss, just to try and be a bit more concise with everything. Although if there are a lot of instances, it may be longer, but I think being concise on the podcast is better for both us and for the listeners. So I hope you have enjoyed listening to us on this episode. And as I said, if you've got any feedback or anything you think we can improve, please either leave it on my social media or leave it in the comments section below. And yes, thank you very much for listening from me.
Yeah, please tune in next week. It's a goodbye from Kris.